Howdy, folks. Welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watch Podcast. Creative. If you can tell, Dylan and I look very sullen because we just had some technical difficulties and have to re-record this whole goddamn intro. But it's a-okay because we're in our top 100 section. If you want to see our previous entries into that, go check out our other shows. We're doing films 40 through 31 today. If you want to see our previous entries very quickly, check out these graphics. Hope you guys like what you saw so far, and as always, tell us what your favorites are in the comments section. If you've done the top 100 exercise or just you want to play around with it, highly recommend doing it. It's a good exercise for Dylan and I. So put in your 40 through 31 in the comment section or tell us what you think about ours. We'd love to see that. The only other really important part we had in our intro prior was I'm going to have to use Dylan's franchise rule. So Dylan, what's your franchise rule?
Yeah, so the easiest way to describe it is just instead of taking up so many slots on the same franchise, I just take up one slot. To just say Harry Potter as one instead of Harry Potter using up 6 of my slots or something like that.
The only question I have is what 2 Harry Potter movies don't make the top 100 then?
Oh, that's just an example. I don't know actually how many actually would make it.
Yeah.
Or if all of them would or not. That's something I've never even toyed with.
Yeah, so admittedly, the middle of this episode for your boy here is going to be heavy into one franchise, but that is going to be a-okay. I'm going to try to sum up some stuff and then talk the most on the last entry of that as well, but it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun today. So, Dylan, start us with your number 40.
My number 40 is Godzilla -1. We just talked about it with the Oscars episode.
You can check out a lot of that in the 2019 through 2023 Oscars episode in the archives.
Yeah, because I said I liked it so much that I would have given it Best Picture, which is saying a lot.
It's a damn good movie.
Yeah, I pointed out, like, I'm not a monster movie guy. I don't even like Godzilla movies, really. I've seen the original one. I've seen the 2014 one. I've seen the Matthew Broderick one. That's really all the ones I've seen.
Well, that tells you all you need to know about why you're not a monster fan.
I mean, I've seen other monster movies, but, like, I'm never super into them.
And when you say monster movies, it should be stated, kaiju movies. You kind of like monster movies in terms of, like, Universal monsters, but you're not, like, huge into those. But kaiju movies are not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
And anyone watching this should know what a kaiju is, but just in case you don't, a kaiju is a giant monster like a Godzilla, like Mothra, King Kong. Like,
yeah,
that's what kaiju means. Pacific Rim is a modern kaiju movie that people wouldn't immediately think of, but it's a kaiju movie.
Yeah. So I talked about it in that episode of the Oscars. It's just amazing what they can do with such a small budget. $12 million. They win the visual effects Oscar, which is incredible considering the other people that they're going up against have hundreds of millions of dollars that they're, at least that.
Yeah.
So it's like the two probably that have the closest budget is The Creator and Napoleon. So it's like those still have at least 150 million.
They were huge movies. Yeah.
So it's like, it's incredible that they have, less than 1/10 of the budget, and they're still cranking out visual effects that I would actually say do exceed.
Absolutely.
And it's, so you got, actually, I'll look up the guy's name, butcher it. Takashi Zaki, that's the director's name. He also wrote it. He had previously been a visual effects supervisor. So the thing they do, which is really awesome in this movie, is, and there's actually a really great breakdown on YouTube that you can look up. It's only like 7 minutes or so that they released, where they describe their whole workflow that they did. They just cut out the visual effects supervisor. The director works as a visual effects supervisor. They have a team of 35 visual effects artists working on one floor, and then the director is just going around in a chair with wheels, like pushing around, going to each computer and just approving shots and like looking at it, critiquing it, or like, proving stuff. And that's all they did for months and months and months. So much of the movie is visual effects.
What I found most inspiring when you talked about it was was it's a unified vision of a bunch of artists together just working on the same thing with
Yes.
one unified goal and vision of what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and when you see, as they show when they announce that they win the Oscar, they show the reaction. You can see how like excited and happy everyone is. It's so awesome, and it's like that's like that's the fun stuff to see in movies. It's not always awesome to see like people with $250 million winning shit. It's like, well, I mean, it makes sense that you would win.
It's the blood, sweat, and tears of it all. It's the sacrifice
Yeah,
element of people just being passionate about what they're doing. We talked about this in previous recordings and our failed recording at this, where we live in the Marvel era where effects houses are just getting bombarded by big movies,
yeah,
Disney specifically, but we have Warner Brothers, Universal. They're all in the big VFX business now, and it's incredible the work that can be done in one room by a group of artists, proving that whole strategy doesn't have to exist. You can't crank
yeah.
stuff out as fast, but
And
the
it
results
should
are
be
damn good.
yeah. I always talk about Corridor Crew, which is a great YouTube channel, who are visual effects people that like talk about visual effects and stuff. Their creed is always like there's not really bad effects usually in movies. It's just rushed effects. Like these Hollywood studios just want to rush movies out so much that they just go, it's fine. Those effects are good enough to the point where we don't care anymore. We just want it to make money enough to where the effects are good enough.
And that's the problem. Most of the
So
time, when they deem it good enough, it's not good enough. And
exactly.
to an untrained eye, to someone who's not in part of Corridor Crew or another VFX house, that can see the work that's being done and say, like, I can see where they're going. It's gonna get there if they keep doing the time. A normal studio goer or audience member is just gonna go, those fucking sucked. Like, there's movies that we've all seen
Yeah.
movies where we just go, that's rough. Like
Yeah. And if you don't have a James Cameron or a Christopher Nolan who have the power to go, no, we are going to delay this movie until I approve it.
yeah,
Like, then there's not much the director can do. The producers have the final say of like, nope, we're releasing this.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean that gets to a bigger issue, and it should be said we're recording this a day after Dylan's birthday in February, even though this is a July episode, a late July episode, so belated birthday to Dylan here. But on top of that, I bring it up because we're in Oscar season right now, and there's just so many effects right now where you're seeing the best of the best, but you're also seeing a lot of stuff when you're trying to go through the year, especially if you're in our spot, where we love going through old movies or we love seeing what's been done this year, and just seeing rushed shit or stuff that just doesn't work. And to have something like a Godzilla -1, that's just like, nope, we're gonna take our time, we're gonna do the best we can. It's just gonna be a small group of people working our asses off to make it the best possible, and that's the best Godzilla's ever looked. Truly.
yeah, it's incredible. And then like in that VFX breakdown which is 7 minutes long again, really recommend it to see how much of the movie is visual effects. Like they have a lot of the movie takes place on the sea, and they only have about 30 yards of part of a ship built. That's it. So you see everything around it. They're never on water. It's just on cement in like a parking lot. Like that's all they have built. And then the rest of it is just like really brilliant filmmaking moves of like making it look like a ship is moving or making it look like
The up and down
they're
of the
on the
camera or
sea.
the shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then having the actors like act like they're being rocked by the sea, like in the old Star Trek stuff.
Straight up 93 Power Rangers where an explosion happens and they all like jump and you're like, oh,
Yes,
like
yeah,
they do the good camera work with it where the other stuff that's done that before that doesn't, you're like, explosion, time to jump.
yeah. So you get this really, really great blend of old filmmaking skills with new filmmaking skills. It's really great.
And it's important to note because we only talk VFX because obviously the crowning achievement of Godzilla -1 is the VFX. But in that movie is an incredible human story that
Yeah.
makes people connect, and you root for these characters so much in a way that you don't get in other movies. Godzilla is never the focus of the movie. The movie is on our core character and the peripheral characters around him. And you said it before, it's Godzilla is used properly as allegory for nuclear proliferation, the danger
Yes.
of weapons. It always just when we talk about it, I always laugh because of the Christopher Nolan stuff we've had in the past. Did you guys know that Christopher Nolan bombed the Bikini Atoll so a giant dinosaur was created into Godzilla? You know, he did that for real for make this movie.
Yeah.
But
Like that's the thing I really love about the Japanese versions of Godzilla is like usually he does stand for something deeper than just American version, which is he's a monster. That's it.
yeah, the American audience oddly is not nuanced enough for a Japanese monster most
Yeah.
of the time. Because what we get out of it is stuff like this. Whoa, giant monster's cool. What if we turned it into that kind of thing? We don't get
Yeah.
we don't necessarily understand the allegory that's being told to us. Where it's like, no, 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 no. This is a social statement, as you know.
Yeah. Or people just don't put that in their big spectacle movies, which shame.
Yeah, yeah, but Godzilla minus one's a damn good movie, so highly recommend it. Two people with very different tastes recommended to me, Dylan being one of them, and I was like, okay, if these two people with very different tastes both say you need to watch Godzilla minus one, say that, that's where I'm like, oh fuck, I need to do
Yeah.
this. All right, I'll take you to 40. Human Peace, 1985's The Breakfast Club is my number 40. Quintessential teen movie. It's the teen movie of all teen movies. It's odd how this movie can show how everyone can feel like an outsider, which is essentially stating that everyone is the same, yet can also make a person feel seen and unique at the same time. It's a great ensemble cast and a tremendous soundtrack. Tremendous single track with Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. And we sure as hell won't forget about you in this movie. We talked a lot about John Hughes in our previous recording. And John Hughes' ability to work with young people to get not just good performance, great performances out of them, to make you really feel what they're going through at the time. The 80s is the time of the teen movie, where young people are now at the focus of movies. We're making movies with young people for young people for the first time in wide swaths. And to work with true teenagers or young 20-somethings that aren't super trained, but they just have a raw talent, charisma, and to get these performances out of them is nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah.
What an incredible movie. I just love how heartfelt it is. And it's funny, we're kind of rushing through with Godzilla minus one and Breakfast Club because Dylan and I just recorded it, and then our recording had some technical difficulties. But I've been in multiple different classrooms, settings, whatever, where you're in there with people of different races, nationalities, religious background, social background, whatever the case may be. This is a movie with just 5 white teens, and yet every single person watching this movie can find someone to relate to. And it's done with archetypal characters. It's very strange how it's that personal.
The only bad thing is like it's a shame that none of the 5 central actors really were able to break out into anything huge. It's like all of them were like really naturally talented.
They've all. The only thing I will say on that note is you are 100% correct. Of the core 5, Emilio Estevez is the only one who kind of did more. Where
But he
got
never
some.
like got like to the level of like Martin Sheen even.
Yeah.
Like even his family members, like he didn't get to that level, which is a shame because he actually is really great.
Oh, I love Emilio. Anytime Emilio
And then
actually decides to act, I'm fucking excited.
yeah, and then like Judd Nelson, he had drug problems and
Well, the thing is, this is all of them have had careers since
yes.
because they're
Well,
talented enough to have careers. But
Anthony Michael Hall, apparently he was supposed to be the lead character in Full Metal Jacket with Stanley Kubrick.
that's wild.
And then and then he turned it down to do some other movie because it was a bigger paycheck. And it was like some, I remember what it's called, but it's like some like disposable high school like football movie. I don't remember what it's some comedy movie. But it's just like you had the opportunity to be in a Stanley Kubrick movie, which possibly could have changed your career forever.
I will say it seems like a lot of the young actors of the 80s did not have good agents or good
Yeah,
guidance to get them through places, but at the same time, they all had this journey in which there is a segment of the audience watching them that utterly adores them. Not just like, oh, I like that actor.
yeah,
There's true love there that they want to see them succeed, but they're not the bigger audience of the time, which is why they still will always get work. Like Molly Ringwald, to this day,
yeah,
will have
yeah.
like
She's still,
she will work for the rest of her life, all because of 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, and Breakfast
yes,
Club. And
yes,
trust me, if I had a movie, I'd find a fucking cameo somehow to have Molly Ringwald in that movie. I
yeah.
would just be like, no, I'm gonna get Molly Ringwald somehow.
I just don't know how someone didn't go up to Anthony Michael Hall and just go, you know, Stanley Kubrick has been making masterpieces since '50s. Like, you need to do this fucking
You
movie.
need to shut up and do it. Yeah. The thing
Yeah,
is all of
it's
them have
crazy.
had sneakily good careers, but none of them did big stuff afterwards. But they've all had steady work forever. Like it made me so happy. I'm a big Boondock Saints fan, as you know. Boondock Saints 2, it's like Judd Nelson's one of the bigger villains in it, and I remember I was like, fucking Judd Nelson. No way! Or like he always worked with like the USA Network and shit. So a lot of shows I watched as a teen would be like, fucking Judd Nelson. Hell yeah! Happy to see it. Or Ali Sheedy's done a
Yeah.
lot of work like that. Anthony Michael Hall has a role that no one talks about in The Dark Knight, but he's the newscaster in The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, he
That's Anthony
is.
Michael Hall, and I'm like, it's so funny
How
to me
about
that
that?
a movie that means so much to me also has a tie to a wildly different movie that also means a lot to me from a totally different era. And Emilio Estevez, most people know best because of The Mighty Ducks, along with The Breakfast Club. But Emilio Estevez kind of turned more into a director where he wanted to do more stuff. He directed a movie that I absolutely love that no one ever talked. I've never heard another person in my life talk about this movie. But it's called Bobby, and it's all about it. It's kind of Crash esque, where there's like 12 different people all during the day that Bobby Kennedy is assassinated at the hotel in California. And it's all of their stories getting to that event. And, some of them are like community advocates in the political scene. Some of them are just waiters or whatever working the hotel. But it's a really good human piece. And there's a lot of nuance to it, which is hilarious because, when you're getting, oh, Brat Pack Emilio Estevez is going to go direct this movie, you're like, what? And I just picked it up on a whim because I love Bobby Kennedy. So I just picked it up on a whim from the Oshkosh Public Library when I was still in our hometown. I was like, I fucking love this movie. This is incredible.
Yeah, I mean
With a
that's
good
why
cast, too.
actors. Yeah, that's why actors sometimes make great directors. Is like they understand nuance.
Yeah.
So
And like the one that sticks out the most is Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in that movie, but there's like it's a loaded cast. And the movie's from like 2007, I want to say. I would highly recommend
yeah,
Bobby to
yeah,
somebody. But yeah, Breakfast Club's so damn good. But it is a shame that the entire Brat Pack, like
yeah,
technically Demi Moore is sorta in the Brat Pack, but no one really thinks about her.
yeah.
She's the only one that kind of went on to do
Yeah, because
more.
Rob Lovelo's also kind of considered in there, but
Yeah, like Rob Lowe and Demi Moore are both Brat Pack, but they're Brat Pack adjacent to me. To me,
yeah,
Brat Pack is, were you in the Breakfast Club? If you're not, you are
mhm,
adjacent.
yeah, because the St. Elmo's Fire is kind of different to me.
Yeah, and St. Elmo's is like Brat Pack plus to me, and I also love St. Elmo's Fire, even though I've only watched it like once or twice in my life. But it's a lot of melodrama with young people, but I think it's
Mhm.
quite good. Andrew McCarthy also Brat Pack adjacent as well, but
Yep.
almost every actor during that time who got that moniker was like worst thing that ever fucking happened to me. Now I think they can look back on it and at least with some good eyes, be like, I will forever be remembered because I was a part of this. But at the time, they're
And
like, it was the worst label ever because it didn't allow us to grow. I was like, yeah, I understand that.
yeah, that's I could see that. Yeah.
So, that is my number 40, The Breakfast Club. Great movie.
My number 39 is North by Northwest.
Hitchcock, okay.
Yep. So we got Cary Grant at Eve St. Marie, James Mason. You got Martin Landau as a lackey. Um, running theme in Hitchcock movies of like mistaken identity. Does it with like Man Who Knew Too Much and The Wrong Man. Psycho has a kind of aspect of that with the mom slash Norman Bates kind of thing. It really just feels like a precursor to the Bond movies. It's the first Bond movie I think is two with
Yes.
Doctor No, I believe.
Doctor No 62.
So
Yes.
yeah, as the Bond movies really became like globetrotting movies eventually.
Yes.
But this is like kind of country hopping in a way.
Okay.
Like he travels a lot, but he doesn't like globetrot or anything. It really does feel like a Bond movie. And at one point, apparently, Cary Grant was supposed to be Bond, or they wanted him to be Bond, which would have been fucking crazy.
Also, isn't Cary Grant an American?
Yeah, I think so.
I was gonna say, like, I don't
I
think that's a
mean,
problem in today's age, but back in the day, I don't think the accent work was very great with different
he was
nationalities.
also, but he was also literally one of the biggest stars in the world at the time,
Oh,
if
I
not
get.
the biggest.
Oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Well, okay, so he was born in the United Kingdom, but they also list him as an American actor. But I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
Because he has that mid-Atlantic accent, which is like something that's never like pinpoint that really.
Yeah.
Like him and Katharine Hepburn, you're just like that's their own accent. I don't know what the fuck
That's
their
just them.
accent is.
That's just
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
they have like two like what would be later be called like big action set pieces by us nowadays,
Yeah.
with the crop dusting scene with the plane coming behind him, and then the Mount Rushmore scene later. There's also some great innuendo, of course, because you have to go around the censors back then. Hitchcock was great at that, of course, because he's a pervert. Not a great person, but no, it's hard to look past at times with him. And
Yeah.
didn't treat his actresses well.
Which is so odd because the only interview I've ever seen of, or I shouldn't say interview, he gets a Lifetime Achievement Award, and
Yep.
I know his reputation, and I've read a little bit about it, and he's the most glowing, kind representation of his wife ever
Yeah,
in
no,
that speech,
yeah,
and it's just
he
like,
loves his wife so much.
it's like,
Yeah.
where's the disconnect here, man? Because one person, light of your world, gold, will treat perfectly, seemingly. Everybody else,
Never like
not so much.
I don't think he ever like sexually assaulted any of. He just kind of treated them shitty.
Yes, but I think there's a level of sexism there that you're like, what are you not understanding
Oh
about
no,
this
no.
one versus that one?
Oh, definitely, definitely sexism. I mean, that was just rampant in those times.
Oh, of course, of course.
So, but yeah, Cary Grant is just like one of the most charming actors of all time. Like, I don't care. Put him up against literally anyone from any period of filmmaking, and you're gonna be in the conversation of most charming.
Yeah.
And then Eve St. Marie is like so fucking great in that movie. She kind of has like a you never know what side she's on, and she plays it so well.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, Hitchcock, master suspense. It's logical.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
I said this to you before. It's one of those movies I've rented from the library like 10 times, and it's like one of these days I'm gonna watch, and I just never get around to it, and I'm like, ah, fuck, I gotta put it back to the library. But it's one of those on the eternal. This year I've been doing a good job so far
Yeah.
as of recording, going through some stuff that I needed to fill some
Yeah.
holes in.
When you want to watch an older movie, that's when I would watch it.
Yeah.
Like, because it's I wouldn't want to. Don't watch it when you want to watch an action movie.
Yeah.
Really, that's not what you're gonna get your fix for.
Yeah, of course, of course. But I mean, it's world renowned, so it's a damn good
Yeah.
movie. Alrighty, I'll take you to a wildly different piece. My number 39, 1994's Little Giants.
Nice. Okay.
The best of the 90s sports movies for kids quartet that I have said throughout here with Mighty Ducks, Sandlot, Big Green, and now The Little Giants. Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill are still favorites of mine to this day. Captures the love of football at its core roots, but does it in a classic misfit format, which I think is awesome. And as for a kid with daddy issues, that Dylan knows very well, I will not cry during. I cannot watch this movie without crying. The scene of the kid running to his dad on a football field, with that being so tied to my young identity, I can't not cry during that scene. And plus bonus points for having Wild America's Devin Sawa as the quarterback of the team.
I was just about to ask you if that was him because I was
That's,
like trying to picture him. I was like, is that Devin Sawa? Because I
that is
can
Devin
picture like
Sawa,
he's blonde. He looks kind of like him, but I'm like, is that him or not?
quarterback Junior Floyd. Yeah, but that is
Yeah.
Wild America's Devin Sawa. And for those who have no idea what we're talking about, Wild America is a foundational movie to both Dylan and I's life. We
Yes.
both love that movie. We can't say it's great, but we fucking love it.
I'll say it's great.
But it's got
No,
Devin
it's not great.
Sawa,
It's fun.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas at the height of Jonathan Taylor Thomas mania,
Oh yeah,
uh,
JTT.
and they're playing the Stouffer brothers or Stouffer brothers, however you want to say it. That turned into wildlife documentarians, and they had Robert Redford narrate their documentary. So, but it's a very fun movie of three brothers getting to travel, making a documentary, found family kind of stuff as well. So we love Wild America, but Little Giants, on the other hand, really, again, more nuance. I think that's the key to all four of those movies, of this kid sports movies, is they're not really about the sport, so to speak, but there's enough of
Yeah.
it to make you believe it's all about the sport. But there's all these underlying things, like
Sure.
you have Rick Moranis and his daughter together, and his daughter's the classic stereotypical tomboy that, you know, rough and tumble, doesn't like stuff with the girls kind of thing, only likes hanging out with the boys. And in
Is she the girl from I don't know if you've Halloween Town?
I have never
Like,
seen Halloween Town. There's a possibility. I think her
let me
name's
look that
Lindsay
up.
Shaw. No, it's not Lindsay Shaw. No, that's a different person altogether.
I'll
But
look it up real quick.
love the Icebox though. That's her nickname in it. Her name's Becky in the movie, but her nickname is the Icebox. But Rick Moranis is they touch on it. Like Rick Moranis' wife of the movie like leaves, and that's why they're alone together, and there's more underlying tension there.
Okay, she's not. She's the
There's
daughter in The American President, though, which I did watch.
there you go.
So
But you have all these young actors getting to play these misfits, but also all these underlying issues of bullying and broken families and all this kind of stuff that just doesn't make sense in terms of what you would believe is going to be in a kids sports movie. But yet there's a lot to it, and I actually absolutely adore. And then on
yeah.
top of that, some of the best cameo work ever with John Madden. The fact that they actually get John Madden in this movie is awesome, because they're just like, "Hey, John, can you just be you?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." And then they have Bruce Smith, Emmett Smith, Tim Brown, and then who's the fourth one? I've looked it up. He was never relevant, but he was a first round pick back, like right at that
Okay.
time. But he's the lineman that they have in the movie. But they have three NFL fucking Hall of Famers also cameo in this movie, and especially for '94, pretty diverse cast as well. Where they're just like, hey, let's have some black kids, let's have some Asian kids, let's have some Hispanic kids. This
I
isn't
mean,
just a movie where we're gonna have a bunch of
I think
whiteys,
I think all those sports movies did that fairly well.
especially for the time where it
Like
was,
Big Green has the sisters who are black,
yeah,
the Asian kid.
Hispanic kids in there as well. It's not just a bunch of
Yeah,
whiteys.
Juan Morales, the greatest soccer player of all time.
but yeah,
Whatever.
but yeah,
It's fun.
Little Giants does the same thing in a really good way, and
Yeah.
tells these enjoyable little personal stories. It's a movie I've played for a lot of different people, and all of them are like, "What the fuck is this?" And then we watch it, and they're all like, "Wait, this movie's awesome." The harshest group I ever had to watch this movie was very stereotypical teens on the south side of Chicago, and I was just like, "Hey, we're rained out. We can't go outside for practice. Let's just watch a movie." I put on Little Giants, and they were like, "What is this?" And within 20 minutes, Within 20 minutes, all of them were like, "Oh my god, this movie's incredible! I love it!" So, love Little Giants. Little Giants is great. Now, 3, 2, and yeah, it was just some nice little finishing thoughts when we lost Dylan for a second for Little Giants. Can't go wrong with Rick Moranis, though. So, take us to your number 38.
38 is Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Interesting choice. No franchise
So,
rule here. Okay.
nope. The other two I don't need in there. I like them, but you know, diminishing returns on
Eh,
those two.
And the last two are not very good. So,
Um.
yeah. The two that are attached to the
Oh
trilogy.
yeah.
No buenos.
Yes. Those two I can definitely forget about completely. The first one I really actually do love quite a bit. Like it's dark for a kids movie, which is what I really loved about it.
It's not really a kids movie, but it's not like super
Ye-
edgy adult either.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a good teen movie, I would say.
Sure.
I do remember, I have a vivid memory of mom and dad watching the Oscars in 2003, and then this being nominated for Best Visual Effects, and it losing to The Return of the King, and me being really upset that this didn't win. But then now looking back, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yep.
But but I remember back in the day being like, "Oh, damn it, I wish Pirates won," because I liked Pirates a lot more
At
than
the
Return of the
time,
King back
at,
then.
at the time, even though I did love Return of the King, I thought the original song or original score lost to Return of the King as well. And I was like, that Pirates score is fucking incredible. I don't know about that one. Maybe his original
Yeah,
song.
I don't even know if it got nominated for original score. But the score for the Pirates is it's like a really wild story because it's Hans Zimmer's like disciple, and it's partially based on Gladiator score. It's like really derivative of that. It's like this whole story, it's a big mess. So
Hey,
yeah, it's a really weird story.
came out great though.
Yeah, cuz like there's this like people that don't know, like there's like this little secrets that people don't want you to know about Hollywood, which is like a lot of composers have like secret little ghost writers
Uh-huh.
that they sometimes use, and Hans Zimmer has quite a few of them actually that he'll sometimes have just compose like a couple of songs
Sure.
for his minor works if he's doing multiple movies at one time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it was for Gladiator that this guy who worked on Pirates, I think that's how he ended up with such a similar song in Gladiator that he did for Pirates, because the
Okay.
theme song for Pirates is literally in Gladiator. It's so similar, it's crazy.
That's
Um,
wild.
when you go back and listen to it, it's really funny. It's literally when you go back and watch the first battle sequence in Gladiator, you're like, "That's the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song." It's really funny. But, I mean,
That's great.
the
That's tremendous.
Jack Sparrow is, like, such an iconic character that, like, Johnny Depp was nominated for an Oscar for that performance, which is crazy to say.
It's wild, but I think it's worthy.
Like, yeah. No, I do too. It's just like, how often you see that kind of performance nominated?
Never.
Very rarely.
Yeah, it's one they got right with a
Yeah.
popular movie. 2003, they did well. They understood the task. Hey,
Yeah, they did. That's true. They
Lord of the
did. Yeah.
Rings didn't get enough credit that it deserved for the last two. It's gonna be all this one. Now we're gonna put a little Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah.
flavor in
And
there.
I really love that, like, this is still in a day and age where, like, you couldn't do everything just digitally. So, like, they had to go on the open seas and actually go on these real ships and really do everything for real. Like, you can't just do everything CG and just build all these ships through CG. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I really loved all that.
Also, that sequence, to talk about the VFX a little bit, the sequence of all the ghost pirates along the ocean floor, that's
Mhm.
great. What a great shot.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, good fun. Great movie. It's a movie that, unfortunately, diminishing returns of a franchise kind of gets shit on
Yeah.
unfairly because the first by itself is great. The next two are good, not great. And then the two afterwards are woof.
Yeah, I do feel bad about Keira Knightley because she really had a hard time after this movie for like how famous she became, and she was so young. She was 17 when she filmed it. Like she
Yep.
was underage. So it's like, yeah, that must have been tough.
Yeah, it's odd seeing Keira Knightley in interviews now, and she's still young. Where you're just like,
Yeah,
oh, Keira Knightley, she's in that movie
she's
that was
still
super
not
prominent in
old. Yeah.
2003, and you're like, and just doing the math here, it's like, I mean, she's still in her early 40s. You know, it's not like she's some old fucking maid. And but yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
disappeared for a little while and only did period pieces because yeah, she just brutal. And I do know there's a lot of trouble on that set for her, being like the only woman of prominence on that film except Zoe Saldana.
And she's barely in it, so.
Exactly. So it was a little rough for her as well. But product is great. Orlando Bloom, great role in that. Another problematic figure. Jeffrey Rush also is tremendous in Curse of the Black
Yep,
Pearl.
yep.
It's a great swashbuckling adventure film. It proved that pirate movies can
Mhm.
work. Because up until that point, pirate movies did not work. It proved that pirate movies could work and could make
Yeah.
money.
It's like pirate movies died after 1930,
Yep.
like 1940s, and then it's just like, okay, well, they just died for 60 years.
Uh-huh. Tremendous movie though. And the mythology built in that is tremendous. If you want to learn about world building, I think Curse of the Black Pearl is an excellent example of how to do it. Or tell your story
Mhm.
and ebb and flow a little bit of world building here or there. Because by the time you get to Dead Man's Chest, I think one of the reasons with Dead Man's Chest is it's a setup to a sequel, to end a trilogy, and the world building explodes. Which is why a lot of people think Dead Man's Chest is just kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, yeah, it's a movie. And more people outside of stuff that they're
Yeah.
confused by
I
really appreciate At World's End more than Dead Man's Chest because it's not as much of that.
I really like Dead Man's Chest, but yeah, I actually like that quite a bit more than At World's End because I really love Davy Jones as a villain, and the CG in Dead Man's Chest is amazing.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it still holds up to this day. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Curse of Black Pearl, I just think is so much fun.
Oh, Curse of the Black Pearl's fun. I'll take you to another movie where VFX changed the world here. 1993, Jurassic Park. In ways, Spielberg's last great blockbuster, in some ways. Or some people would just argue his last great blockbuster movie, so to speak. The magic is alive and well. A John Williams score to this film can bring me to tears every time I hear it. Even if we're in a raft that it's being played on during a theme park ride, it can still bring me to tears. Jurassic Park's so good. It's just so much fun. So much heart to Jurassic Park, which is wild. And great cast that's understated. There's no like one true like
Yeah.
whoa star, but a lot of people you like and respect. And that's what I think is great about Jurassic
Hmm.
Park. It allows you to just buy into the
Yeah.
characters of them. Jurassic Park's so fucking good. And a VFX that legitimately changed the world. Where
True. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason it goes down in history as like the one of the most revolutionary movies of all time because it literally changes the game
oh yeah. That first shot
for filmmaking.
that first shot with the Brontosaurus, man. Just slowly walking. And it is wild that the music hits with the shot and it perfectly shows Sam Neill and Laura Dern perfectly encapsulate the moment. And it's so wild that that moment also captures the entire that shot of the two of them shows every single audience member the first time they watch it. Where it just goes, that's
Yeah,
not
and that's
possible. That's not possible.
and that's one of those classic that's one of those classic Spielberg moments that you get in a lot of his movies where he'll show a reaction to he'll show an actor's reaction to something and then you see what they're reacting to as a great spectacle kind of thing. That he does that all the time. And in this moment it's like a true spectacle. And then with mixed in with the John Williams score, it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's a movie moment for all
Third
time.
that 30 seconds of filming is what every director that's ever directed a movie wants to have. And they want to capture it at least once. And very rarely does anyone ever get that. Which is why Spielberg's so special, because he's gotten it so many times.
There's a
but
reason they keep
so good.
there's a reason they keep making these fucking garbage ass Jurassic World movies.
Hey, we just
Like,
we just reviewed just did big box office a couple months ago for Jurassic World for the 10th anniversary of it. So, in terms of shooting, we haven't
yeah,
in terms of release schedule for our audience, but hey, Jurassic Park is so special. It's such a good movie. And a great cameo for Wayne Knight.
yeah. I mean,
Love Wayne Knight in here as Ned Hendry. Love him. Love him.
yeah, yeah,
Nice Seinfeld tie.
yeah. And
Any guy with a Seinfeld tie, I'm happy.
and it's not just spectacle too. It's like also you got like real deal like great tension moments with the Raptors and everything. Like it's kind of a great meld between his great blockbusters of Jaws and then also the spectacle of like ET and stuff like that.
Yes. And the thing is that the VFX always get the praise, which I understand, but there's still a lot of good practical work with the dino builds as well. That's really cool. Where they did some practical stuff with that, and Stan Winston did an amazing job with that stuff as well. So it's not as if it's all computer generated, which helps a lot too, because there's just more tangibility to it. And what an incredible. If you want to learn more of it, if you don't know it by now and you're listening to a podcast like this, go watch Light and Magic, the documentary on Disney Plus. When they cover Jurassic Park, you truly feel like you're like, holy fuck, I'm watching the changing of history, and it's momentous and so cool. I love Jurassic Park.
Yeah. All right. My 37 is a movie that you've already mentioned on your list. It is The Princess Bride.
Okay, a lot further than I thought it would be on your list.
Yeah.
Incredible movie.
So as we talked about before, it's just kind of like it's a fun blending of genre, really.
Yes.
Like
not a lot of nostalgia for
you
us
get
as
like
well here. Yeah.
yes, for sure. Like you get like the storybook fantasy kind of thing, and then you get adventure, you get romance. It kind of delves into like a darker fantasy realm as well
It
with
does.
like all like that torture stuff inside that tree
The
and everything like
the forest stuff with the ROUSs with the giant rats. Yeah, like
yeah,
there's a little
also
bit of
that
there's some dark little horror elements to it that make it some stakes.
yes, and then you get like the swashbuckling stuff where he's like he used to be a pirate and Inigo Montoya is like pretty much like a swashbuckler.
Oh yeah.
That's his whole character pretty much.
And on top of it,
So
it's a tremendous comedy. You get all these genres just blasted into
yeah.
one thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, for sure. And then
Great
it's
movie.
like one of the things I appreciate about it most is like it's able to straddle the line of ironic but also sincere.
Yes.
Like not many movies are able to do that with such grace,
Yeah.
and this manages to do that really well.
It never loses its heart. It never loses the sincerity. You are always rooting for the main thing, which is you want your characters to be happy. And although it can be tongue in cheek a little bit, it still never loses how sincere it's supposed to be. It's such a unique film that can capture so much. Rob Reiner did such a good job with this movie. So good. And then also getting Peter Falk to play the grandfather is just like a great touch to have it just be real invested in. And at that time, someone who he's not truly elderly at that time, but taking someone that the audience of the time has grown up seeing on television a lot to say, oh, we've kind of grown up with this guy as an older man at the time, to now he's going to be playing theoretically like our grandfather reading us this story. So good. And it's one of those as a kid, anytime you see Fred Savage and I think it's Fred Savage and Peter Falk, as a kid you kind of just go, can we just skip this scene and can we just like fast forward? Like we don't need this. I want the story. I want the storybook. But now as an adult watching it, it's so impressive to watch those scenes. because it takes you back to a childhood manner where you understand what it means to live that with a family member telling you a story like that. And it's just the warm and fuzzies come back all together. It's great. What a good fucking movie. Carrie Elwes is so charming. So fucking charming in that movie, man.
Yeah.
And we get the eighth one of the world.
I wish he had done more, but
Well, we did this on the show that I mentioned before. He's done a ton of stuff. It's just always like bit stuff.
but he never. Yeah, he just never like. I felt like he should have been like a huge star.
Yes.
And when I say huge star, I mean huge. Like he has movie star potential.
Yes. On paper, when you see him, you're just like, well, that's a star. Well, that's what a star is supposed to look like and supposed to act like. And yeah. I'm just like you. I wish I would have saw more. You know, if we ever direct a big time movie, we'll hire Carrie Elwes and it'll be fine. And we'll somehow make it work.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great with me.
And as we said already for The Breakfast Club, we somehow have to get Molly Ringwald in the same movie, but we'll make it work. Doesn't matter. So I will take mine. This is like, as I said during the preamble, this is where I'm still not going to use the franchise rule. I'm just going to read every blurb, and once we get through them, I'm going to talk about them as one. This is going to start the James Bond block of the show. I'll take you first. Number 37, I went with 2006's Casino Royale. Also a movie that was on your list that we discussed sort of, but entirely this time. Start of the best Bond era by far. It's not even close. I love how visceral Craig plays Bond. And Eva Green, please. Best Bond girl ever. It's not a contest. Michelle Yeoh is the only competition, and she doesn't really count in the traditional Bond girl setting. She's kind of in her own world as her own thing, which is why I have that in parentheses. And oddly, a really unique viewing experience for you and I, as we saw this in Waukesha, and we did not grow up in Waukesha, or technically Brookfield, one of the two, because of our mom's Christmas party. And we just got dumped at a movie theater to watch Casino Royale. And that's how we watched Casino Royale together. And we were 14 and 12 in a completely foreign city to us. We didn't really know much about
that.
Yeah, we were like, because it was mom's Christmas party, and it was like one of the last things her and dad like ever did together. And dad just like dumped us at the movie theater. He's like, I'll get you at the end of the movie. We got to go to this party. And I was like, what? Okay. He's like, yeah, watch him. I was just like, I don't even know where the fuck I am. What are you talking about? And then we just watched Casino Royale, and it was great. And made the night awesome. So, but great movie. Like I said, I'll keep a lot of the commentary for the next couple as well. But Casino Royale's so good. So good.
It's definitely where you get more depth for the James Bond character, because you really don't get it anywhere else.
Yes, I will. I have that in my future blurbs as well. So we'll be talking about that.
Surface level until Craig.
Yes.
So yeah.
Anyone who wants to tell you that Daniel Craig is not the best Bond, just tell them that they're wrong, and you are right, and it's fine. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is by far the best Bond because he actually got something to do.
Yeah, that's very true. You just mentioned Michelle Yeoh. My 36 also has her. It's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay.
A movie that I never really appreciated.
I've never seen it.
It was nominated for best. Yeah, it was nominated for Best Picture in 2000, which is why I originally watched it, and I must have watched it probably when I was in high school, would be my guess. I only watched it the one time, and then I rewatched it just last year, and I just absolutely loved it. It was amazing. The word I would use is like, it's just stunning on every single level. Like, all the acting in it is stunning. The choreography is stunning between like both the sword fighting and the martial arts in it. Cinematography, I mean, it looks just absolutely beautiful. All the art direction and everything, like, it's just a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, it's the most footage I've ever seen for it. Because again, I've never watched it. It's one of the gaps that will be filled. Is when I was looking at it, it was during one of our Oscars episodes when I was doing research, and I was like, how could this not win that? And then I watched clips from Crouching Tiger, and I went, oh, I understand. I'm not going to bitch about this one. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ang Lee definitely knows how to photograph like an epic.
Yes.
So like, and this is what it feels like, and it's just beautiful on every level.
Oh yeah. It's a gorgeous looking film. You can watch 2 minutes of that. You can watch the trailer and just go, "Well, that thing is beautiful," and it does, and it looks the same throughout. Because the clips I did pick to watch, I was like, "Holy fuck!" It's consistently just looks good throughout. I'm excited to watch it. Obviously, Michelle Yeoh's my girl. I love Michelle Yeoh, so I'm excited to finally catch that one.
Mm.
36. We continue the Daniel Craig block of Bond. We go to 2021, and that is No Time to Die. It's a daring choice to end Craig's Bond era that I really appreciate. Well worth the masked movie-going experience during the pandemic, for myself at least. A down on his luck Bond being pulled back due to personal stakes is way more interesting than most of the time you ever get Bond missions where he actually really gives a shit, which is also great. And the last action set piece within the stairwell to get to all the blast doors and everything on the island, that stairwell action sequence is tremendous. Because it's just, again, visceral is the word I would use. It's just constant, like, aggressive, I'm going to take you out no matter what, I do not care. Bond. No Time to Die is damn good. And also, great song from Billie Eilish as the title track as well. So, the music during the Craig era also slaps. None of them have a bad intro song either.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Alicia Keys one, but
I think that would be the
I wouldn't
weakest
say
of
it's
the
bad
five.
either,
It's
though.
not bad, but it's the weakest of the five.
Yes, yeah.
But No Time
I've
to Die
only
is
seen No
tremendous.
Time to Die I've only seen it once. The only thing I'd say about it that I didn't really like all that much is I didn't really think Rami Malek did much with his villain. Like,
I
but
th-
I don't think that's really his fault. I think he's just a little underwritten.
yeah, I think the focus is supposed to be on Bond and the love interest and their family, so to speak.
Yeah,
And the villain is just the avenue to screw him. Really, it's not meant to be
yeah.
a great Bond villain. And also, the standard is
It's
set. We'll
just
talk about the standard being set for the villain in the next movie that I mentioned in that franchise. So,
okay, yeah. Because I was about to say, like, with like the Sheaf and Javier Bardem and stuff like that, like I feel like you get a lot more depth out of those villains than you do with Rami Malek.
yeah,
And I feel like they're on screen probably about the same amount of time.
Rami
And
Malek's
maybe
probably
that's
got
just
less, but yeah. But it also does not
but
help. You still get Christoph Waltz in this movie as well. And Christoph Waltz does
that's
play
very true. Yeah.
say what you will, Christoph Waltz plays a damn good villain, and he does a really good job as Blofeld, continuing that story from Spectre to No Time to Die. And then you get that, plus then you get Rami Malek, and you're like, okay, well, Rami's not Christoph Waltz. So that is my
Yeah, that's
36.
definitely that probably is it. Is that like it is a little unfocused in terms of the villain. So yeah, that's probably not his fault at all.
Quick, before you go to
But
35.
also,
Rami Malek is just
I think so.
he is understated compared to the rest of the villains of the Craig era Bonds. But that movie's the focus isn't the villain. It's really on the journey of Bond, so that's why I'm okay with it. But I understand
Mhm.
that it's not as fulfilling or rewarding compared to others, especially when you have Christoph Waltz in the same movie as Remy Malek.
Yeah.
And he's very much a spin on the "you only live twice" villain, the very problematic racist Bond from '67. He's very much a play off of that villain. Yes,
Okay.
where they make Sean Connery's Bond Japanese.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
He's very much a play off of
Yeah,
that.
that's not good.
Yeah, at least that's what I think it's what it is. But nonetheless, that's my 36. No Time to Die. Take us to your 35.
My 35 is All the President's Men. My 35 is All the President's Men
Okay.
from 1976. It was nominated for Best Picture. I think it should have won. It lost to Rocky, but That's just my personal opinion. I do like Rocky, but I think this one's better. You got Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford playing Bernstein and Woodward,
Okay.
obviously telling the true story of Watergate. It has like one of the most impressive supporting casts of all time. Read it off real quick. It's got Jason Robards, it's got Martin Balsam, Jack Warden, Hal Holbrook, and Ned Beatty. Just as like some of those people, even just playing I think Ned Beatty's in it for like maybe a minute. Like it's pretty incredible. Like the caliber of
It sounds a little
people in it.
Oppenheimer-esque, where
Yeah,
where
yeah,
Oppenheimer, they have like cameos for like 2 minutes to 5 minutes of screen time max, but they're just hitting heavy hitters
yeah.
throughout. Where you get
Which
Harry
is
S. Truman
weird.
played by Gary Oldman for 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and you're like,
Yeah,
God, what?
which is weird. Yeah, but that which makes sense because everyone wants to be in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
But for this, it was Alan J. Pakula, who's like he's a good director, but it's not like he was like, you know, the director. It's not like Stanley Kubrick or something like that.
Yeah,
So it's just
Nolan is the director of his time. So yeah, I get it.
yeah, so it's just an absolutely stacked cast. Jason Robards ends up winning Best Supporting Actor for it. He completely deserves. One of the things I really love about it is like it never over explains anything. Almost to the point where if you're not paying attention, you will not understand this movie at all. Like there are so many names and so many things going on that like you have to be paying attention or you will just get lost.
Okay.
It's
So not a movie that's going to age well in a Gen Z and millennial audience, but
yes. It's very similar to a movie I just rewatched 2 days ago, which is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy from 2011, which the common complaint is like I just straight up couldn't follow the plot.
okay.
And I actually think Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is pretty easy to follow if you're paying attention, but like I can see it is kind of convoluted at times,
Okay.
but it is like history can be convoluted. Like that's just how things
Oh
go at
yeah.
times.
Yeah. Everything's
So,
super convoluted.
and I think the reason that they're not dumbing anything down for the audience is like it was made 4 years after Watergate was happening. So all these things were playing out pretty much in real
I was
time.
going to say they don't even have all the full details by that time of Watergate. Like, we still learn
Yeah,
new shit
so
about
like
Watergate. So, that's wild.
yeah, so like I'm sure most of the audience knew who all these people were at the time. So it's like you don't need to dumb it down for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really enjoyable watch. It's like another it's got thriller elements, but it's also investigative journalism movie, which I always enjoy.
Yep. You certainly do enjoy that. It certainly sounds like a stacked cast that would want to be watched. So again, it's a gap. It's not a movie that I've been like, oh, one of these days I have to watch All the President's Men, but it's a movie I'd like to get around to watch. Certainly, and especially led by Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. That just screams quality to me. You don't
Mhm.
see those
Yeah,
two.
and they're both at like the height of their powers.
You don't see those two make bad decisions ever, and they both have a gravitas to their work that's just very,
And
very
actually,
impressive.
the second William Goldman script, he also did The Princess Bride. So
Yeah, you get a little. My block, my 10 is the James Bond block, and yours seems to be the William Goldman block. So fun with that. So I will end my. Now we can talk big about Bond, even though we got into a little bit of the weeds with No Time to Die. 35 is 2012's Skyfall. I don't think it's a discussion. This is the best that the Bond franchise has ever had. I know you are of the opinion that Casino Royale is slightly better than Skyfall. I'm of the opinion that Skyfall is the
mhm.
best. Those are the only two real debatable candidates of the Bond genre in terms of quality of the film. There's more depth and pathos than virtually anything that came before it, sans Casino Royale. Seeing Bond fail multiple times makes it a really intriguing movie to watch because you're just not used to that. Plus, the action set pieces in the Scottish wilds are incredible. The entire sequence of the last 40 minutes of the movie when they're out into the Scottish wilderness and they're actually at the Skyfall like grounds are so stunning, but they're so remote and so eerie that it perfectly sets the tone for what they're trying to make you understand. And those alone, I can't wait to visit Scotland because of that. I'm actively planning a trip to Scotland because I love watching Skyfall and seeing some of those wilderness shots. I'm like, holy fuck, this is incredible. I need to go to Scotland. Skyfall's so goddamn good. But the entire Craig era is the first time a character with little to no depth is really explored. And obviously, that's tremendous for a film goer that loves the Bond movies for the whiz bang pow of them all and wants more to sink their teeth into. And Daniel Craig is a perfect choice to play the Bond that they got. Where Daniel Craig, in his natural. When you watch interviews with Daniel Craig, unless he's really having a good time, there's a natural aloofness to Daniel Craig that makes him perfect for an avoidant personality like Bond, where he doesn't get attached much. He doesn't. You can tell he cares, but he can so easily just flip a switch and just be like, nope, time to make the decision. I don't care. It's wild to see that. And the story that they tell from Casino Royale to obviously No Time to Die is incredible. To see how he loses trust in all of humanity, essentially. He knows there's good in the world, and that's what he fights for, but Skyfall is perfect because he's like, I'm busting my ass every day, and I was just shot by my own team member. And I don't fucking care. I'll still come back, but fuck you guys. I hate this.
Yeah.
And Skyfall is just challenging. Skyfall, like, Casino Royale is great because it's far more of the explanation of why he is the way he is in terms of being a womanizer and not being trusting of others. But Skyfall is the true psychological background behind it of where does he get all these personality traits. We're really challenging his foundations as a person, which is why I would say Skyfall is the best of the Craig era and it's the best Bond's ever been. But the entire story they tell from Casino Royale to No Time to Die, I find such an intriguing story. And I really like the search for humanity throughout the entire story. And it's incredible. And Skyfall is to focus on Skyfall, I guess, for the 35th entry. Skyfall is the perfect entry of, we are going to go New Age Bond and give you a lot of depth and a lot more hard-hitting, visceral action. But we're just going to sprinkle in that perfect little magic dust level of a little bit more of the fantastical spy elements of Bond that people like.
Yes.
Like, you get Ben Whishaw coming back as Q. You get Moneypenny getting to be back towards the Moneypenny role.
Ben Whishaw is introduced in Skyfall, isn't he?
Yes, but like it's the return of Q in general, where Q's not in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, and you didn't get Q in Die Another Day because Desmond Llewellyn's passing during World Is Not Enough. So you went 3 movies without Q, so it really felt like you were removed from those Bond elements that made it a little bit more fantastic whiz-bang powish. And just to sprinkle them in the perfect amount, and you get the Aston Martin DB5 coming back with the old car. You get those elements that just make it so suave Bond, while also keeping all these core tenets of the new Bond that make it really exciting to watch and more appealing to more people. I think that's why Skyfall is so fucking good.
Yeah. I'll say I think Skyfall is the best looking James Bond movie by far. Just in terms of like general cinematography, I honestly don't think there's another one that even competes with it.
I think No Time to Die is damn good. And I think Spectre's cinematography is very good. It's not Skyfall though. I like No Time to Die cinematography quite a bit actually.
I think Sam Mendes takes it up another notch like that no one even gets close to, I think. Especially at the end where they're in the Skyfall place. And also this is also history, at least in terms of my life. Skyfall was the first time I ever saw a tie at the Oscars. Where it tied with Zero Dark 30 for a sound Oscar. I was like,
Interesting.
oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I
But
didn't.
yeah.
I still didn't know
Um,
that was a possibility until you just told me. So that's pretty cool.
yep, yeah. It tied with Zero Dark 30. It was weird. I was like, huh, didn't know that could happen. But it's definitely my second favorite James Bond after Casino Royale. The only problem I have with it is like it just doesn't really make sense in terms of its placement in the Daniel Craig era. Like him being like it should almost be the last movie
There are bits of it
of
where you
Craig,
you
you
have
know?
to assume after Quantum of Solace, a lot of years have gone by to get him to
Yeah.
Skyfall. I understand that, sure.
It's really weird how like like the way they play with the timeline of it. Like it should almost be Spectre takes place before Skyfall, like in terms of
I could understand that.
logistics.
I could understand
Yeah.
that. I still like it
I
the
mean,
way it
I
is,
don't
but it's
yeah.
nice.
I don't care that much about it. It's just it is funny how they tell the story. But also Javier Bardem, he is one of the greatest actors to play villain.
Ever,
You
yeah.
know, Country for Old Men and Skyfall are two greats. And the moment when he takes out the like little fake plate in his teeth,
Yes,
like
incredible. That was what I.
yeah,
That's that little sprinkle of old Bond magic where you just go, God damn! Like
yeah,
it's something I want to talk about as a whole block. Is the villains matter in these 5 movies? All of them have something to them. Even Quantum of Solace. Green is a henchman, so he's obviously the lack of it, which we talked about in our Oscars episode about I
hmm
think that era, I believe, where Quantum of Solace just it was made it was in production during the writer's strike. So they couldn't make any
yeah,
changes and just like they moved forward with what they had, which was unfortunate. Which you can tell that script is not what it could be, especially after seeing what Casino
yeah,
Royale did 2 years prior. But even Dominic Green's character is the Dominic Green character actually does have some semblance of good villain to him, where it's like corporate
hmm
snake almost, and all 5 of them have their nuances. But getting just to talk about it, Mads Mikkelsen, Javier Bardem, Christoph Waltz, and then even Rami Malek. Those are 4 very impressive actors to play great villains. And Rami Malek, we already
hmm
talked about with the No Time to Die, a little bit undercooked. But 4, where if you just went, I need a villain, I'm going to cast this person, that's no brainer stuff, where everyone just goes, yep, that's going to help the team win. Do it.
yeah, yeah. And I also really like the interplay between him and Moneypenny in Skyfall a lot.
Yes.
That's really fun. I wish they had played more with that in the sequels, but I understand why they didn't.
Yes, it's
Uh,
a shame as Daniel Craig not wanting to do more Bonds. I wish we could have got one extra Bond in there so he could have played a little like after Skyfall it would have been nice to get one more almost throwback Bond where he's just playing James Bond and still give him something to do. Obviously don't make it, fucking Roger Moore Bond where it's like you're James Bond, you save the world. And that's the depth of the character.
mhm.
But it would have been nice to get to have more of the interplay and the innuendo and the love between Moneypenny and Bond in there, more interplay between Q and Bond as well. It would have been fun to get that. But especially after Skyfall, Daniel Craig did not want to play Bond anymore. But I give him credit. I never once watching Spectre or No Time to Die thought this is a person who doesn't want to be here. It always felt
Yeah,
like
he never phones it in or anything,
yeah,
so
and that's always, after watching some very prominent movies go through that in franchises recently, I think the most obvious one would be Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique in X-Men,
oh, yeah.
where she just does not give a flying fuck to be there anymore. And she's giving Academy level stuff in movies of like the same year or like a year removed. And then in that movie, you're like, I could have done a better job. That's horrible. Like, you never get that off Daniel Craig, and I respect that a
Yeah.
lot. So that is my 35. Skyfall. That caps the Daniel Craig era of Bond for me, from 35 to 37. Couldn't really pick. I gave it to Skyfall and what my favorite of the Craig Bonds were, but all three are tremendous.
My 34 is The Fugitive from 1993.
Never seen it. However, I can give you one of the
That's
best lines.
surprising, actually.
Yeah, because you think my Harrison Ford love would take me there. Again, I'll get there eventually, but I can tell you one of the greatest movie lines of all time. I don't care. Love it. Love it. Hold, please. Now talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I couldn't hear you for a little bit. But you're good.
What I'd say about it is like it's a good thriller that is just made better by Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. So like if this was just like two nobodies, it'd be like, yeah, that was a fine movie. But because it's two great actors, it's like, okay, yeah, this is awesome.
You mean one of the most charismatic motherfuckers that's ever walked the planet?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean like Harrison Ford in the 80s and early 90s is so awesome. Like, I mean, he's Harrison Ford. Like,
So
it's the
obviously,
best it can
as
be.
we said, we're recording this in early February. Like, and I'm talking about February 2nd. I can't wait to see Captain America: New World Order, is it or whatever, because Harrison Ford's in it. Or I don't have super high hopes for the movie, but I'm like, Harrison Ford's in it. I'm gonna go fucking watch that movie. I don't care. He's just so much charisma every time he plays a role during that time is tremendous. And The Fugitive's no different. He's so the few clips of The Fugitive I have seen, I'm just like, God damn it, Harrison Ford's awesome. Fucking love Harrison Ford. Yeah, Harrison Ford, so fucking charismatic. Love Harrison Ford.
Hmm. He's quite a few years off the best of Harrison Ford.
He's away from Indy.
4 years after Last Crusade, but he's still Harrison Ford. He's still one of the best actors of the generation.
Oh yeah,
So,
just
and
charm.
then
Just a charming motherfucker.
And Tommy Lee Jones wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this performance. And he wins over quite a few great performances. He wins over Ralph Fiennes for Schindler's List, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but he does win it, so it's saying something.
Impressive. Impressive nonetheless.
He also was nominated for Best Picture, which not many thrillers do that.
Especially based off a television show from the past.
Also, that's a weird thing. Not many of those adaptations go on to be successful. Like that and Mission Impossible are the two I can think of that actually were actually big successes. Because you got to think of Man from Uncle, stuff like that. Those were mild successes at best.
The 60s
A Lone
revival.
Ranger.
No, the 60s revival stuff ironically is best in the 90s. It's not best in the 2000s to 2010s. Lone Ranger fails hard. Man from Uncle, I think is a really fun movie, but no one pays attention to it.
So do I. I like that movie.
Ab and I just rewatched that a couple months ago, and just like, God damn, I love this movie. Henry Cavill's so goddamn suave in that movie. Further explaining why everyone's like, why can't he just play Bond? Well, what are you gonna do? He played Superman instead. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he's too old at this point, but
No, the adaptations, ironically, are best from The Fugitive and Mission Impossible. Even though Get Smart with Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway, that's a revival of an old 60s show. That failed miserably, too. Just interesting stuff.
Fall Guy just recently.
I loved Fall Guy, but it didn't get the reception that
It didn't do well, so.
I think Fall Guy's great. Fall Guy was... We'll talk about Fall Guy, not in the top 100, but as part of our revisions and honorable mentions category. I love Fall Guy. Fall Guy's great. But Fugitive, just two powerhouse actors at their best. I'm excited to finally watch it one day. Who's the third actor in this? There's always or am I thinking of a different movie with Tommy Lee Jones?
The only other people I can think of in it are Joey Pantaleone, or whatever. I just call him Joey Pants because I can never pronounce his last name.
Joe Pantaleone?
Who else is in that motherfucking movie?
I think I'm thinking of U.S. Marshals from a year or two after that, where Robert
Uh,
Downey Jr.'s in that.
I don't think Robert Downey Jr.'s in. If he is, it's a bit part because
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of
um,
U.S. Marshals.
The Fugitive also has. Let me look it up real quick. There's one guy in particular who I can always picture his face, but I can never remember his fucking name.
The '90s had a lot of actors like that, man. Every
you
decade
won't.
does, but
Oh, it has Julianne Moore also in one scene, but it's only for one scene. It's like a
really
bit part.
nice.
She's in a hospital for one scene, and Harrison Ford is like he's on the run, but he's like a doctor, so he's just also proving he's a good guy still. The guy who I'm thinking of is
Good for Julianne Moore.
Andreas Katsoulis. If you looked him up, you would be able to picture
I know
him.
the name because I think I've done this search before.
And it's like he has such a face that you would never forget it. The only other person you might recognize is really there's no one else of
I know
big name.
I know Andreas Katsoulis. Yep.
Those are the only recognizable people in it, really.
Interesting. I do know it's a powerhouse of two forces of nature acting wise at that time. I'll take you to a wildly different film.
Also, I gotta point out, there's a great dummy shot in that movie where he falls down the waterfall. It's funny.
I will take you to a wildly different movie at my 34 spot, 1979's Meatballs, starring Bill Murray. Deeply personal due to my career field, plus it has my fave, Bill Murray. Classic Misfits format, plus the innatity of late 70s, 80s humor, makes for a great watch. The movie is oddly heartfelt and honest, which makes me love it all the more. And what I mean by that is people who have you seen Meatballs?
It would have been a long time ago
Probably not.
when we were in.
I don't think you've seen Meatballs then, because it took me a long time to track down Meatballs. I didn't find it until my early to mid 20s.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Stripes. I think then.
Because I know you tangentially watched a lot of Bill Murray stuff from the 80s because I watched a lot of his stuff from
Yes.
Bill Murray. But Meatballs is 79. It's, I don't want to say his coming out party, but it's right at the height of him at SNL and it's right before Caddyshack and Stripes hits where it just goes, oh, this is the comedy star of the decade, along with Eddie Murphy. This is the guy, so to speak. And with that, I've been a summer camp director for the last couple years of my life. Thankfully, this year I am not a summer camp director. I'm just working with a summer camp. But working in a summer camp, it's an oddly heartfelt group of people. Even when you work in one, you understand why people get so tight knit over times because you spend every waking minute of every day together. And I was only doing a day camp. I can't imagine having to do an overnight camp like in Meatballs. That would be brutal. But Meatballs is a tradition where I have to watch Meatballs at least once a year going into summer camp season because it just makes me remember what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to just be fun and enjoyable. But what I mean by really heartfelt and honest is this isn't a movie where it's overly romantic or anything like that, but it does show a great deal, and it's a quick watch. It's not much more than 90 minutes, where it really captures very well both kids, young adults, and adults just being shoved together in a situation and how quickly you form really deep attachments and bonds, even though it's not trying to do that. Specifically, in the middle of it's almost like an interlude in the movie. All the counselors go off with Bill Murray and the other assistant camp director. And magically, even though they've all been shitting on each other and they're all friends from back in the day, they all have very contentious relationships. You see how they all form bonds really well together, and they come back from one night, and they're all very much attached to each other in the best ways possible. And it's just oddly honest, and it obviously hits well because of the career field. And then Rudy Makepeace is Chris Makepeace, whatever his name is tremendous child actor of the time. So Chris Makepeace, I think it is. So just great all around fun movie, and also a good soundtrack. I think Elmer Bernstein's on this one again. Maybe could be wrong on that one, but an underrated great '80s comedy soundtrack when They were cranking them out at the time where almost all of Bill Murray's comedies of that era all have really good soundtracks to them. Meatballs is no different, and a lot of fun running gags. It's just fun. It's an enjoyable 90 minutes passing movie.
One of the things I always hear floated just by fans of the next Friday the 13th movie is people always want a mixture of Meatballs in Friday the 13th or Wet Hot American Summer in Friday the 13th.
Yes, there's a lot of... Wet Hot American Summer does not exist without Meatballs. That's a very important distinction for people to know.
I would be so down for one of those. It'd be so fun to watch.
With comedy elements as well, or just straight horror version?
Just those two just meeting each other. Go in thinking it's one movie, and then all of a sudden it just turns into the other.
It's just Bill Murray getting hunted down. God, it'd be funny. Oh, that'd be so much fun to get to play with. I think as much as I would love Meatballs for it, Wet Hot American Summer meets Friday the 13th would be so much fun.
Especially if you get all Rudd back and stuff.
That'd be a lot of fun. Elizabeth Banks getting to play in there too. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
He's already been in the Halloween franchise. We can get him in the Friday the 13th one.
Yeah, he's part of the family already. Meatballs is just a lot of fun and an enjoyable movie from back in the day. Naturally, some humor that's not necessarily really okay for today, but it's fine. It passes in the 70s and 80s, and it's grandfathered into the system. So, love me some Meatballs.
All right. My 33 is 1973's The Sting.
Yet another movie I have not watched.
It wins Best Picture. It's just a really, really fun movie. I remember the first time I watched it was back in high school when I was going through all the Best Picture winners. And I just straight up did not understand the movie. I was just like, I just did not follow the plot because I was just really stupid, I think. even though it is really simple, because it's just a fun caper full of con men and gangsters and stuff.
Steve McQueen, right?
It's Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
Paul Newman and Steve McQueen always give me a run for my money for some reason.
And those two are just at the height of their charm. It's a little reunion too. It's 4 years after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And I'm trying to think if it's directed by George Roy Hill. I think George Roy Hill also directed Butch Cassidy, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But they're just at the top of their game in terms of charm and charisma. They are just two of the most charming people to ever be in movies. It's just undeniable.
Yeah, and then Paul Newman so naturally charismatic that he has entire Food Line products for himself.
Yes, that's true.
It's always something I found fucking hilarious about the world. Newman's own dressing, Newman's own lemonade. And you're like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah, and apparently he's a good guy because a lot of it goes to charity.
And a lot of it does go to charity, yes.
And then you got Robert Shaw as the bad guy in it, the villain, the heavy. Yeah, it's just full of, they're all con men or swindlers or gangsters, mobsters, whatever you want to call it. But it's just a really, really clever, fun caper. And that's all it is the whole thing is how to steal, kind of the Robin Hood tale. But it's
You sold me. You sold me on it.
Yeah, it's made in 73, takes place in the 20s, I want to say, because I think it's Prohibition era. So it's really fun to see all the costumes and stuff. It's and it's also like you get, I don't want to say it ever gets too deep in terms of any racial stuff. It doesn't dive deep into any of that racism in terms of the cops or anything. It gets a little bit into that, but not much.
It dabs its toe, but it doesn't do. It's not trying to be a social piece.
Yes, exactly. Majority of it is just a fun movie.
Alrighty. Interesting. That's a good selling point for it. The charisma of Paul Newman and the charisma of Robert Redford together, especially during the 70s. Fuck. That's just a winning combination.
Also, just a really fun score as well. It's like you would picture dancing to it in 1920s jazz club.
That's fun. I'll take you to 2009 for my 33, and that is Up in the Air. Starring George Clooney, Vera Farmiga, and Anna Kendrick. This is an important eye-opener for a young Evan. Usually a movie like this, or any Oscar bait movie, wouldn't even get a second glance at a cover. let alone repeat watching from me. But damn it, Clooney and Kendrick make a really intriguing duo, and Vera Farmiga is so endearing in this movie, only to rip your heart out at the end. I love Up in the Air. Up in the Air was truly a game changer for me because I can't just watch genre movies. I just need to watch movies in general and be open to it. And I already was, but Up in the Air was the last. I saw Up in the Air, I was like, maybe there is something to the quality of these movies. I shouldn't just magically go, it was released in November and December, therefore, nope.
That's why the perfect example of why you should not write off movies just because Oscar bait stuff. I hate when people do that just because you are missing out on a lot of good stuff.
You also miss out on a lot of crap or a lot of schlock.
Sure.
But yes, you do miss out on a lot of good stuff.
I 100% agree with that. And trust me, I have been going through all the Best Picture nominees, and there are a lot of stuff that I just describe as fine.
Yes.
Like, that's my one word review of them is fine. But there is a lot of gold in some of this stuff. You will find a lot of movies that you actually do love.
Yes. And I think what's specifically Up in the Air, I think, is George Clooney's best performance because it's the most charismatic, just George Clooney getting to be George Clooney. Yeah. And I was never a Clooney guy beforehand, and now when they say George Clooney's in a movie, I pay attention. I may not watch it, but I pay attention because Up in the Air. I used to be super anti-Clooney because my introduction to Clooney was as a kid, which I wasn't into, and Batman and Robin, which is one of the worst comic book movies ever made, one of the worst movies in general by many people's estimation ever made, to where George Clooney jokes around about how he killed an entire franchise. Never wants to go back ever again to do anything like it because it was such a bad experience for him. But George Clooney getting to play somebody who on the surface level is so callous that he gets to go into places of work and fire people. And when you hear that premise and you see the first 5 minutes of the movie when he's doing it and they're setting up a callous level of it, you're like, what a prick. And yet in 5 more minutes you just go, I completely understand this person. He actually does give a damn. He cares about people. And just he does not show a lot of outward care for himself besides the surface level. And then to have Anna Kendrick to bounce off of as well, and that's her first role of real prominence in terms of acting ability. 100%. When it's acting ability and not just Anna Kendrick.
I don't know. The year before is Twilight, so
I'm pretty confident that Up in the Air did more for her career than Twilight did in terms of being respected as an actress. And they're just such an endearing movie. It also does help. Admittedly, one of the cruxes of the movie is an up north trip in Wisconsin, which I fucking love for obvious reasons as our home state. But I love the through lines of the movie. And I love the questioning of one's own goals and one's priorities throughout the movie, where it's not just like he challenges other people's constitutions in the world. He's also actively being challenged in what he believes while he's doing this. I really appreciate it. I love that scene. If you have not seen the movie, there's a through line in which he travels so often that he could be one of the first 10 people to ever travel 1,000,000 miles as a passenger, airline-wise. That's his whole thing, is he's going to do that. And towards the end of the movie, after he's got his heart shattered, that scene with Sam Neill coming out of the cockpit as the pilot, oh my god. Fuck, what's his name? It's going to drive me crazy. Oh, no, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, Evan. Sam Elliott. Jesus Christ. Not Sam Neill, because we were talking Jurassic Park, so I had Sam Neill in my head, not Sam Elliott. Oh, yeah, that was going to drive me insane.
He was in that movie.
But Sam Elliott comes out as the pilot, which is a perfect fucking cameo, by the way. And he's like, congratulations, you hit 1,000,000 miles. And you can just tell Clooney's just heartbroken as a character. He's like, I've been thinking about this my entire life. And now I don't know what to say. And it's perfect, because it perfectly challenges growth as a human. To check your goals and say, are your goals really worthwhile? Or to check what you're actually trying to pursue, and are you getting the other things that are really going to fulfill you along the way to get those things. It's tremendous. I love Up in the Air. Yeah. My love for Up in the Air. I've seen this movie a ton.
I'll say I think there's a perfect companion piece to this movie that was also nominated for Best Picture the same exact year, which is An Education, which I know you haven't seen. they're two very different movies, but I think they go along the same lines of they have a similar twist in a way in terms of relationship. But they tell a similar tale in terms of naivety, and also they're telling two different tales in terms of naivety, in terms of a tale and end of. I don't want to say the end of a person's life because George Clooney's not at the end of his life or anything, but in adulthood,
Jaded middle age. Jaded middle age is perfect.
Yes.
You think you figured out the world by that time.
And then the very beginning of someone's young adulthood, someone who thinks they're very mature, who thinks they're grown up, and then realizes they are not at all. They're very young to the world and really way too naive about it.
Similar parallels to Anna Kendrick's character in Up in the Air. She thinks she's got it all put together, and she very quickly learns she does not.
It's a great companion piece to that. It's an Education is a movie that I had put off for literally years. I had just watched it for the first time last year, and I was blown away by it. It's another one where it actually is an example of one where I was like, this looks like fucking Oscar bait that's going to be shit. And I was like, wow, this movie's incredible. So even I do it at times.
And you like Oscar movies. Most people don't like Oscar movies.
Exactly.
So yeah. I think we said in the beginning of the opening blurb to Up in the Air.
Also, it should be stated, Jason Reitman, he is a great writer.
Yes, yes. Great. I really appreciate Jason Reitman's writing. And it, like we said, be open to the movie experience. There's a lot of movies in my top 100 that prior to watching them, there would have been no chance I would have thought had a chance. We grew up watching blockbusters, action movies. It makes sense. We've gone through 3 James Bond movies in this block because that's what we grew up on. But Up in the Air is not something we were ever exposed to as kids. We just found our way into movies our own way. And we had a pretty good blockbuster education compared to many people. I will give our family that credit. And we were encouraged to go watch other stuff like that. But when it came to Oscar bait, real dramas, things of that nature, we were not. That was all us exploring for the most part. So
I don't even know why I even started watching the Oscar stuff.
I think you just fell in love with movies.
No idea.
The idea of Oscars was celebrating movies. It makes sense. I mean, that's why people still do it. Besides the fact that they can make a fun party out of it, it's oh wow, it's the love of movies, and we could celebrate that together. Take us to your 32, though.
My 32 is one that we are going to be using a franchise tag on.
All right.
It is the Toy Story trilogy, leaving out the 4th.
Oh, we're leaving out Toy Story 4, huh?
Yes. It's specifically because the trilogy feels like a
cohesive story.
A set story that has a definitive ending to me. The 4th one feels very tacked on.
You get Toy Story 5 coming soon.
I know, and it drives me crazy.
Toy Story 4 was good, but it was so unnecessary.
Yes.
And let's get to the meat of the matter. The Toy Story trilogy is legitimately one of the great trilogies of all time.
Yes, that the only blurb I wrote about it was literally the most revolutionary animation trilogy of all time. It cannot be understated how revolutionary Toy Story is in terms of what it does for animation.
Oh, yeah.
It's 3D, which was groundbreaking at the time.
Yeah.
It's also probably, I don't want to say it's the best written, but
animated wise, as a franchise,
it didn't rely on music in terms of musical.
Yeah.
It is just a movie. Whereas all Disney movies up to that point are musicals. So you can rely on a lot of the music to do the work for you.
Yes.
Which that's not a bad thing, but it does help you along the way. Because
there's a reason musicals get nominated for Oscars. There's a reason people are drawn to musicals, because music helps drive those movies.
And it can help create it's just another aspect of movies that can be more fun, especially for kids.
Yes.
But Toy Story is, I would argue, most people would say that is the best movie in 1995. Looking back, like most.
I still Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it's pretty damn good.
Oh, sure.
I'm fucking around. No, it's by far having watched the other contenders of '95, like Braveheart's always the one that gets discussion.
Yeah, Braveheart.
I like
won Best Picture.
I like Braveheart, but Toy Story's better. It's a more
Yeah.
cohesive story.
So it's just like it's, and then the second one, although I don't love it,
It's hyper underrated though. It's a damn good movie.
it's still a great sequel. And then the third one I think is a masterpiece.
So
If there was no Return of the King, it's the best finale to a trilogy ever.
I'd probably agree with that.
Like,
It's not Return of the King, but if you take Return of the King out of discussion, it's better than Return of the Jedi. It's better than The Dark Knight Rises. It's better than, I'm just thinking like the great trilogies. I think that's by far where it is. It's so one of the, you would know this well because we bring this up almost every show, your love for Harry Potter.
Mhm.
Harry Potter grows with its audience. And it's a great example of growing with its audience. As good as Harry Potter is, I don't think anything has grown with its audience better than Toy Story did.
yeah.
And the fact Toy Story actually tackled what does college mean for the end of childhood through the idea of your toys being gone is one of the most genius things I've ever seen. And anybody, I'm getting tears just thinking about it right now.
Yeah, it's the sweetness of it. Yeah.
It's so good to think about that moment. So heartbreaking. God damn it.
There's a reason it got nominated for Best Picture.
It should have
completely deserved it.
What won in 2010?
King's Speech.
Yeah, I've never watched King's Speech, so I can't accurately tell you it's better than King's Speech. But from what I've seen of the King's Speech, I would say it's Toy Story 3. I also think Inception is better than what I've seen, but whatever.
Toy Story 3 is better, but it's my opinion.
Quick pause here. Sorry, had to blow the nose. But just to sum up, Toy Story 3 is incredible.
Yeah.
The scene, the thing is this. I still am not sure what I think is more powerful. But the scene when they're all going into the incinerator together, and you think they're actually going to burn these toys down to nothing, is so heart-wrenching.
I mean, I know it was actually going to happen, but it's still moving.
It's so moving. And then they get back, all for Andy just to give them up and pass them on to someone else who needs their own story. And now they get to live this new life with another kid, and they get to be a part of someone else's story. And I love that moment where Andy looks and he's about to give Woody up, and then oh God, I'm crying again. He's about to give the toy, he's about to give Woody to the little girl, and he's like, wait, maybe not. He's like, no, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also a testament to Pixar that literally everyone keeps returning to that franchise.
Yeah.
Like the Ian does, because Pixar just knows how to run their studio.
Yeah.
Like,
as Disney doesn't fuck with them, yeah, they're fine.
Like, if they didn't treat their actors well and they didn't tell the right stories, these people wouldn't keep returning.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to how great a studio Pixar is.
Yeah, and that's a cast right there.
Yes, it is.
Hey, what if we had Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, and then you just keep going down the list like Don Rickles and all the other players? Hey,
yeah.
Fuck, they even Michael Keaton, and I was more than pleased with that one. So,
yeah, and then they keep adding people as the sequels go on.
Well, that's the other thing. The prestige of that franchise. More people, when they get asked to be part of it, the opportunity to do it, they jump on it because of how special that is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you get Keanu Reeves. Eventually.
Keanu's great. I love Keanu in that movie.
I really did love that about Toy Story 4. Keanu Reeves is great.
Oh, I love Keanu because it's perfect for Keanu. Because he's so self-aware as an actor that you're like, yes.
It's Bonnie Hunt, isn't it? Bonnie Hunt is Jesse.
I think so. It's Bonnie Hunt. I think so.
No, it's
Holly Hunter.
Hunter. Yeah, that's it. And who's I could have swore Bonnie Hunt was a voice in one of them.
I forgot Annie Potts is the voice of Bo Peep. Anytime Annie Potts can be in a movie, I'm fucking happy.
Oh, I never knew that one.
John Ratzenberger, Wallace Shawn as Rex is great.
I Ratzenberger has to be in everything.
I didn't know Laurie Metcalf was Andy's mom. That's also a great little casting right there.
Nice.
Estelle Harris is Mrs. Potato Head. That's incredible casting if I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, that makes it.
Rickles, I already mentioned Don Rickles. He's tremendous. Yeah, the voice is tremendous. Just throw it to me. Is Woody still your favorite toy?
No,
Who's your favorite?
it's gotta be whoever that doll is that we can never figure out what the fuck his actual name is. You remember know who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
He had that really hard head.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so like,
I still can't figure out what the fuck it is.
so I have two things on this one. I was talking more about the Toy Story franchise, but yes,
Okay.
Dylan was truly Andy for a couple years, where he was inseparable from his Woody. You were inseparable from that fucking toy. But on top of that, I don't know if it's Gullah Gullah Island or another Nick Jr. show. Because I've tried looking up like 10 different times.
Yeah.
Every year I do a Google search trying to figure this out. Dylan had a doll, and it was a black character from a Nick Jr. show. And it had like a really hard head, but then the rest of the body was all soft. Very early childhood toy. And you were fucking inseparable from that goddamn toy. And we've tried figuring out what that character's name is, what that show is, and we've never found it.
But
I think his name is Guy or Kai something.
It hurt.
Oh, it was a weapon eventually in our household, yes. Because I remember in our teen years, we would use it as a weapon when we were wrestling around and fucking with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you and Itner would just beat the shit out of each other with that fucking doll.
Yeah. But if you're about franchise, just the Toy Story franchise, yeah, I think it's got to be Woody. Simply because Tom Hanks is just the best.
Although I was a Buzz Lightyear kid, I think the aliens are actually my favorite. Just to get
They're great.
The claw. That's my favorite. I love it so much.
I also think Slinky's pretty underrated.
Yeah, Slinky's great. They're all great, and I think if one is closest to my spirit, it'd be Don Rickles' Mr. Potato Head. That's probably closer to my shitty side that I really appreciate, but I think the aliens are my favorite. But I love all of them dearly. I'll take you to a very different vibe away from Toy Story. My 2011's Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Very different vibe. In my opinion, one of the smartest horror films I've ever seen. And I think it's a conceptual masterpiece, really. The idea of giving reason as to why every horror film has to go down in a formulaic way is so goddamn cool. And the fact that you're both rooting for the main protagonists while also rooting for the operators of the villains at the same time is such a great achievement of conceptual work. And just the last 20 minutes of Anarchy is glorious. I think the writing of that is so smart. I love any time you can take a concept that's been done to death and there's a formula and no one knows why there's a formula and you can give reason to the formula. I love that. It's been done before. I always cite Green Lantern in that with Jeff Johns, where he just like took 60 years of just went, none of this makes sense. I'm going to make it make sense. And you're like, that's so smart. That Cabin in the Woods does the exact same thing. It's so good. So fucking good. I love Cabin in the Woods. And also a delayed movie. It just sat on the shelf for 2 years. It's 2009. It was done in 2009. And they just sat on the shelf.
Well, I would argue that's a smart choice.
I mean, they waited for Chris to become a star. That's really what it was.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, also helped the movie, so it was a smart choice on their part. But you have Joss Whedon involved in this movie, but not really because more Drew Goddard. But Joss Whedon is involved, and you can when you know Joss Whedon's work, tell what Joss Whedon has been a part of. But I love how one character kind of plays to type, and then how they manipulate the story into being, or they manipulate every character into playing into type. Where they do a really good job right away of being like, the dumb jock is not a dumb jock. He's actually very smart, intelligent, emotionally with it. He's not an idiot. He's actually a really nice guy. You know, the dumb blonde, really smart. She's not just, as the movie says, the whore. You know, she's not that at all. And I love that about that. I love that movie about that. And all the different monsters that are shown, the ways of death. Sign me the fuck up. I
There's
love it.
there's some really cool breakdowns too of the visual effects. How they did the filming of the all the various different monsters and their little I don't know what you call them, like the cages.
Yeah, they're
They're
cells.
placed in.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun to see how they did that. I like all the letaways too of like the different scenarios they going around in around the world. That's
Yeah.
always fun.
I think that's also a smart way to do it. Also, Roger Deal is great in this movie. Just getting to play one of the analysts. And I love how I really like the human side that's told there, where they're operating the death of innocent people, but it's all for the best cause possible, which is saving humanity.
Yes. Yeah.
And their work is heavy that they have to.
Ye-
They're still the human, like they're taking bets and they're fucking around because it's their
Yeah.
everyday, and like they just need to get through it. And I love that about the movie. Cabin in the Woods is awesome. I
Yeah.
love Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, I think the two MVP have to be Richard Jenkins and
Richard Jenkins.
Bradley
I don't know
Whitford.
why I said Roger Deal. Richard Jenkins is where it's at. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Richard Jenkins and those
Yeah.
two are like the best of the bunch.
Yes, they're awesome. I love that movie to death. Cabin in the Woods is so good. Love it. Love Cabin in the
Yeah.
Woods.
I didn't really love it before, and then I rewatched it not that long ago, probably like 3 or 4 months, and I did like it a lot more than I used to.
Was it right after
fun.
our recording of our Halloween calendar?
It might have been right around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's of the like I don't know, yeah, I guess that would be a horror comedy.
Yeah. It's
That's
got
like the
there's a comedy element. I have to say it's horror comedy.
yeah. Okay, my 31 higher on your list. I don't know. Can't remember. Is the Goonies.
Higher on my list. Trust me.
Okay.
We're getting close though. We're getting close.
Okay. So the only thing I'll say about it right now is that it's just got an absolutely great cast. It's amazing.
A lot of chemistry between those guys.
Yes. Like between not just the kids, the amount of chemistry is crazy, and then you have the another level of chemistry between the teens,
Yeah.
and you got another level of chemistry between the Fratellis.
Yes.
Like it's great.
All with a swashbuckling adventure / horror vibe. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I last week because I was like, do I actually like this as much as I remember it? Because it'd been I don't know how long, probably like 10 years since I watched it since the last time.
I do not watch Goonies frequently. Now, granted, my entire time of admittedly, we've had a lot of technical difficulties recording this episode. So I've had a lot of time to think about what I'm going to do after this episode.
Mhm.
Now that we've mentioned Goonies, I think Goonies is probably what I'm going to watch. But Goonies is in a very short list of films that I do not. We talked about this on a previous episode, where I do not watch often because I protect
Yeah.
them. I want them. For me, it's more of a mood. I never want to be in a bad mood watching these movies. I want to be in the perfect mindset because I want to experience as close as I could get. And for you and me, you almost want to forget a little bit of the details of the movie so you can be wowed all over again. This is a best movie mom's ever recommended. This was a mom addition to our catalog, not a dad one, which is rare for us because most of our catalog of movies that we saw was very much a dad recommendation. So I remember when mom like, oh no, you guys will love the Goonies. Even as a kid, I was like, you've never recommended a good movie. What are you talking about? You got away with Grease. What are you talking about, Mom? And she showed us the Goonies, and I was like, holy shit, my mom's a genius.
Yeah. So when last week, I was like, actually, you know what? 31. I think that's perfect placement for it. I was
it's
pretty
a short
happy
list.
with the placement.
I think that's something I will probably unveil in our top 10 or our top 5 episode, where the short list of movies that are protected, where I watch them maybe once every 5 to 10 years because they need to be perfect, otherwise I won't allow it to happen. You know, I'll mention The Dark Knight was one that I already mentioned on our Dark Knight episode. Was a very much that's a protected viewing. I do not fuck with that whatsoever. It has to be perfect to watch The Dark Knight. Goonies in the same way. But every time I've gotten a chance to show kids the Goonies, I do. I'm like, oh, you guys think movies are cool? Let me show you the Goonies. And immediately the kids watch it and they're like, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told you. Shut up. And Ke Huy Quan, baby. Ke Huy Quan.
Well, there's a lot of people in there that went on to be great actors.
Corey Feldman, Sean Astin, Samwise Gamgee, our greatest friend.
Josh Brolin, yeah.
Yeah, all great stuff. Bond villain, Robert Davey.
Yeah, also, if you do it, I really recommend it. There's a podcast called James Bonding with one of the hosts, Matt Gorley. I love his other podcast with Gorley and Rust. I listen to it all the time. He has a Robert Davi story that is incredible, where he used to tell, he would do like posts about all the Bond movies, like
Sure.
reviews of them. And I had a run-in with Robert Davi when he was younger, and he just said, yeah, Robert Davi's an asshole. Because, like, he treated him like an asshole when he met him. And then Robert Davi somehow came across this blog post and then was like, hey, what the fuck? And then they ended up going to dinner together. And, like, yeah, the story, he tells this story on the License to Kill episode of James Bonding. Great story to listen to.
That's
it's really funny.
Awesome, and also perfect because we need to talk about Goonies later. Perfect transition to my number 31 because we're returning to James Bond.
Okay.
It is the last Bond film in this. We're going to 1995's GoldenEye.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know.
GoldenEye above all the Craig ones?
So here's the thing. I think all the ones I mentioned in the Craig era are better films than GoldenEye. I want to make that very clear. However, the blurb will tell you. The last of the Bond block, and it won out due to its comfort movie status for me. As I said in previous episodes, comfort movies, if there's a tie somewhere, the comfort movie usually wins. Pierce Brosnan is the best of the suave Bonds, and gives a layered performance for the first time seemingly ever in franchise history. He still doesn't have Daniel Craig level material, but it's the first time Bond has to do like some reflection, some questioning of things. The initial stunt jump over the dam is incredible.
Yeah, that's fun.
The tank sequence through Moscow is also great. And admittedly, Isabella Scorupco doesn't hurt either. Beautiful Bond girl, and does a really good job with her portrayal as well. And to top it all off, Sean Bean has one of his first notable Sean Bean only plays characters that die at the end moments.
Yes.
So fucking good, real cozy.
And he gets a fake death in that as well.
Yes, he does. Double time, baby.
Yeah.
So originally I had above GoldenEye. I originally had GoldenEye underneath all of the Craig Bonds. And I remember doing this, and we were sitting on the couch, Ab and I. And Ab went, how in the fuck are you going to do that? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's just like, you watch GoldenEye all the time. And you said Tiebreaker was the comfort movie. GoldenEye has to be above them. And I went, yeah, I think she's got a point. GoldenEye is a movie. I wouldn't be shocked if on average over the last 5 to 10 years I've watched GoldenEye every 4 months. 3-4 months. It's just a movie I put on in the background to watch all the time, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's the dam jump." Okay. Oh, it's this. Okay.
I think since kids, I've seen it once. So yeah.
Well, that was the thing, is I was starved for GoldenEye a lot as a kid because we just didn't have it. We had World Is Not Enough, and we had Die Another Day. We didn't have the other Bond movies, so when I would catch GoldenEye on TV, it was always special to me because I loved GoldenEye. But for some reason,
playing the game.
And that's the thing, I didn't play a lot of the game. I know of the legend of the game, and I appreciate what GoldenEye did as a party shooter for the genre. But at the same time, I didn't get to play GoldenEye a lot as a kid. So it was one of those things where, I don't know if it's just I never could catch GoldenEye at the right time on TV, but anytime I did, it was appointment television. Just like Back to the Future, where if I saw Back to the Future on TNT, I just went, my day's over. Don't speak to me unless we're talking about Back to the Future. This is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Same deal for GoldenEye. And then buying GoldenEye in my early 20s when I was buying more of the Bond movies, I was just like, yeah, fuck it. GoldenEye's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm running this around. I don't care. I love it.
I will say, in terms of just titles of James Bond, I think GoldenEye's up there with the best of the best. It's great.
GoldenEye is what I was thinking about this when I was writing the blurbs.
That's Ian Fleming's estate in Jamaica. I know that.
Oh, it's called GoldenEye?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
called
that's cool.
GoldenEye.
Really cool. The thing is, what I was thinking, the reason the 4 movies I picked of Bond, and it's hard to find a bigger James Bond fan than our father. He's a huge James Bond fan, which is how it got passed to us, specifically me. Dad and I bonded a lot over James Bond. Was all 4 I picked are a good blend of old James Bond whiz bang pow with some grounded reality to them, where they all get to play a little bit more with Bond's psyche. They all have more grounded action to a degree. They still are James Bond, obviously, but they're not Moonraker going to the fucking moon with laser beams and shit. You know, it's not. You know, it's spacing on another movie that I love because it's one of my favorite bad movies ever. That's the last Roger Moore movie, and it's gonna drive me crazy. Oh, and even Duran Duran had View to a Kill.
View to a Kill.
Thank you. Yes, because Duran Duran does the title track, and that's a great song as well. It's just with Living Daylights as well. No one ever talks about that Duran Duran song, and it's fucking incredible. But yeah, the action in To a Kill, ridiculous. Like, so ridiculous.
Oh, I think it's purely because Roger Moore was probably 60 at that time.
How dare you? He was 57.
So still elderly.
Yes. So the best I've ever heard is Roger Moore and his Depends trying to do stuff, and so clearly action doubles doing it. And all like GoldenEye, No Time to Die, Casino Royale, and Skyfall all play with. They get to play with the sprinkles of old Bond, but they don't ever go too far into like Pierce, when he's gadgets, he has like a grappling hook belt. You're like, well, that's not so crazy compared to the other stuff that he's got.
Yeah. Well, I bet GoldenEye felt pretty grounded.
Oh, that's why GoldenEye is so popular. Is License to Kill was poorly reviewed and so bad to the point where people said this is over. That James Bond's done. And they intentionally took 6 years. They took a long time intentionally to do another Bond, and they said we can't fuck this up. Like, the 80s were a rough time for Bond.
Yeah. To be fair, The Kill is not great.
Oh, it's brutal. It's
I wouldn't go that far, but it's not good.
Well, here's the thing. You know my love for Bond. I've seen License to Kill once. I won't rewatch it.
Oh, I've seen it more than that, actually.
It was so bad, I just went, nope. I know a lot about it. I've seen clips of it more often because of all the Bond documentaries and stuff I've watched. But you know, I know Benicio del Toro in that movie and everything.
Oh, he's funny in that movie because he's just fucking wild.
Oh, yeah. But
he's going for it.
You have... And it's a shame because Timothy Dalton, I think, is actually a pretty good Bond.
Yeah.
I love Living Daylights. I think Living Daylights is actually pretty fun.
That feels like a Mission Impossible movie.
It kind of does, yeah. And it just gets a little too zany at the end where you're like, what the fuck are we doing? But GoldenEye is just so much fun. It's a fun movie. That's the part that's awesome. But it still gets a little bit darker. Also, Famke Janssen is a tremendous Bond villainess.
Oh, yeah. She's good.
The pairing of her and Sean Bean is really fun. And then you get Alan Cumming in one of his first little prominent roles as well.
I totally forgot about him,
being a little computer nerd fucking lackey. Also great.
I don't love the little nervous tick, the pen clicking.
I don't like
I find it really annoying, but
I think it's a nice little character trick to take advantage of. But yes, it's obnoxious at times.
Yeah.
But again, love that GoldenEye so much. It's great. It's great.
It's definitely one of the more fun James Bond movies.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Me, that's the 4. Is those 4 are the highest quality Bond movies we've ever gotten, and then it's everything else is up for debate of what you like. And my next category down would be Tomorrow Never Dies, simply because of Michelle Yeoh. I think Spectre in the discussion.
I think there's a couple Connerys that I would put above GoldenEye, but
I was never crazy about a lot of the Connery stuff, because I also am someone who does not believe in the reverence for it came first, therefore it's better. I've never been that person.
Goldfinger is good. I don't think Dr. No's great.
I like
some
pieces.
Say like, oh, it's the first.
Yeah,
but,
I love From Russia with Love. Goldfinger, I think is pretty fun.
I like Russia with Love.
And then Roger Moore, I think Live and Let Die is great. I really love Live and Let Die. And I like The Spy Who Loved Me.
I don't love any of the Roger Moores that I've seen. I haven't
Oh
seen
yeah,
all of them.
and my guilty pleasures. I do love View to a Kill, but I know it's trash. But I do
Yeah.
love View to a Kill. It's a guilty, just
And
fuck it, I'll throw it on.
I really like. I'm blanking on the Lazenby's.
Oh, on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah. I
I've-
actually do like quite a bit.
I've only watched half of on Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's the one I've never actually watched all the way through. I've watched every other Bond movie all the way through at least once.
The ending is abrupt. I'll give it that. But kind of crazy.
My 31 was GoldenEye, but that has been our 40 through 31 on this cursed, technically difficulties destroyed show, where a show that should have took us about an hour and a half, 2 hours, took Dylan and I 4-ish hours to record, because how many technical difficulties we had, which I'm sure you can tell by the cuts of this, or look at Dylan's camera and the daylight available to Dylan in the camera shot. Yeah. But it's been fun. We're closing in towards that top 25. We're closing in, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys are still enjoying us. Again, like we said in the comment section, put your 40 through 31. Let us know what you think about our movies. This is obviously the James Bond episode for me as well. So, and still got my obligatory It's Spooky Season episode tie-in with good old Cabin in the Woods. But heck of a lot of fun here, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We appreciate it. Peace and love to you all. Goodbye!